Assalamualaikum, I am Tala Suhail. I welcome you all to Virtual University's program on personality psychology. Dear students, today is our lecture number 43, and in this 43rd lecture, we are going to begin with a very interesting topic, and that is the three forces in psychology. जनाब बात आपसे होगी three forces in psychology की. But before beginning with this lecture number 43, let us recap what we did in lecture number 42. In lecture number 42, we talked with you about domains and perspectives of psychology. Janab, as far as domains and perspectives of psychology is concerned, we say that personality can be studied using the dispositional perspective, biological, intrapsychic, cognitive or experiential, social or cultural, or adjustment perspective. Dear students, as far as each and every perspective is concerned, under each and every perspective, we can fit in a number of personality theories. और हमने कोशिश ये की थी कि सबसे पहले देखें कि एक perspective, what does it stand for? Number 2, the number of personality theories that come under it. हमने आपके साथ 17 personality theories की, तो कौन सी personality theory किस perspective के नीचे आ रही है? And number 2, what empirical research has been conducted under certain perspectives. तो बात आपसे रही 6 perspectives की, which are being used in personality psychology. जनाब हमने आपसे बहुत डिटेल में बात की डिस्पोजिशनल पर्सपेक्टिव की. डिस्पोजिशनल पर्सपेक्टिव बेसिकली रिलेट्स टू एंड इट टेक्स इनटू अकाउंट हाउ वन इंडिविजुअल डिफर्स फ्रॉम अनदर इंडिविजुअल एज फार एज इंडिविजुअल्स इमोशंस आर कंसर्न, सेल्फ कॉन्सेप्ट इज कंसर्न, एंड एज फार एज फिजियोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड इवन intrapsychic mechanisms are concerned, how one perspective differs from another perspective. The biological perspective takes into account that human beings are first and foremost collections of biological systems, and these biological systems are the building blocks for behavior, for thought, for emotion. Now, biological perspective or approach takes into account how genetics, how psychophysiology, that is the function and the working, and evolution of number 1, very important things, genes, nervous system, neurotransmitters, and hormones, how do they affect the personality development. And it is on the basis of these genetics, psychophysiology and evolution that we say that one individual differs from the other individual. उसके बाद जनाब intrapsychic perspective की आपसे बात की. Now in this intrapsychic perspective, this was founded by Sigmund Freud, and the focus is basically on an intrapsychic conflict that goes on between the basic needs and the demands of the society. Now, basically, according to Freud, most of these conflicts between basic needs and demands of the society is at the unconscious level. But even at this unconscious level, it directly affects or has an impact over your everyday behavior. So, it affects your behavior. फिर जनाब हमने कॉग्निटिव और एक्सपीरियंशियल अप्रोच के ऊपर और पर्सपेक्टिव के ऊपर बात की आपसे, जिसमें हमने ये देखा कि द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ कॉग्निशंस, द एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ इमोशंस एंड द एक्सपीरियंसेस रिलेटेड टू सेल्फ, हाउ दे इफेक्ट द पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट. and it is on the basis of these experiences that we say that one individual differs from the other individual. तो आप cognitions को किस तरह experience करते हैं, आप emotions को किस तरह experience करते हैं, pleasant emotions को, unpleasant emotions को, और your style of responding to these emotions is important. और सबसे अहम बात ये कि your experiences related to self, real self, ideal self, your experiences related with self as identity, your experiences related with self-actualization and with self-esteem. So how that is directly having an impact over personality development of an individual. Dear students, when we talk with you about social and cultural perspective, और हमने ये देखा कि how culture and society has an impact over personality development of an individual. एक बात तो बहुत वाज़ेह है कि the culture and society set certain rules and these rules influences, number one, all the social institutions, number two, the social roles, and number three, the social expectations or relationships of one individual with another. तो हमने देखा ये कि culture certainly has an impact, influence over personality development, and certainly culture and society are one important variable that affects your personality development. उसके बाद जनाब आपके साथ बात रही और बड़ी तफसीली बातचीत रही, वो थी एडजस्टमेंट पर्सपेक्टिव की. Now, dear students, we know that stress is a reality. We can't avoid it. We have to face it. So, our personality has to cope with it, adapt to it, adjust with it. This stress has a negative impact over your physical health, over your mental health. Now, as a result of this stress, it leads to certain negative outcomes in form of disease, in form of sleep disturbance, in form of diet problems, and that leads to a number of problems. फिर हमने ये देखा कि it's very important that there are individuals who cope, adapt and adjust to stress in fabulous way, and there's no negative effect or impact on their mental physical health. However, there's another group of individuals on whom stress has a negative effect. It affects their physical health, their mental health, and as a result of that, these individuals display a set of behavior patterns which is problematic for themselves as well as for those individuals who are around them. फिर जनाब हमने देखा old age and health problems is another stressor, retirement is another stressor, and those individuals who have got physical diseases or problem, that again is a stressor. तो बेसिकली हमने ये देखने की कोशिश की कि स्ट्रेस इज देयर एंड हाउ दिस स्ट्रेस इफेक्ट्स द फिजिकल एंड मेंटल लाइफ ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल. आपको एक एक्सरसाइज दी थी हमने और हमने ये कहा था कि ये 6 पर्सपेक्टिव्स हैं. इन 6 पर्सपेक्टिव से रिलेटेड राइट 6 स्टेटमेंट्स रिलेटेड टू योरसेल्फ और टू अ फ्रेंड, and then try to classify these 6 statements according to the 6 perspectives के ये कहाँ पे fit in होंगी. और कहा ये था कि जब आप ये 6 statements अपने बारे में या अपने दोस्त के बारे में या किसी करीबी इंसान के बारे में लिखेंगे तो सबसे पहले you will have a better understanding of these 6 perspectives, a more better understanding of these 6 perspectives, and you will be able to classify them under one heading. जनाब ये एक्सरसाइज थी और मैं ये उम्मीद करती हूँ, I sincerely hope that you have gone through it, and provided if you have gone through it, by this time these 6 perspectives would be appearing to you as something very easy and something related to all of us. What do we mean by first force, second force or third force in psychology? Question number 2. Can we classify all these 17 theories of personality under the banner or under the heading of first, second or third force of personality psychology or not? Well, there are 3 forces in psychology. The first force is psychoanalysis or the psychodynamic model or the intrapsychic perspective. The second force is behaviorism, and the third force is phenomenology or humanistic psychology. Now, there are a number of theories of personality that come under each banner. So, हम आपके साथ पहली फोर्स करेंगे और उसके नीचे कौन सी theories आ रही हैं वो डिस्कस करेंगे. We'll discuss with you the second force, that is behaviorism, और उसके नीचे देखेंगे कि कौन सी personality theories आ रही हैं. And the third force, that is humanistic psychology or phenomenology, and we are going to see that which personality theories come under that. When I am talking about the first force is psychoanalysis or psychodynamic or intrapsychic, and it includes number 1, Freud's theory, Jung's theory, Adler's theory. आप हैरान होंगे कि मैं एडलर को यहाँ भी इंक्लूड कर रही हूँ और phenomenology में और humanistic psychology में भी इंक्लूड कर रही हूँ. Well, I'm including Adler over here because he's talking about inferiority feelings. He's talking about superiority feelings. So, with reference to that, I include him under this model. Though he is humanistic, though he is talking about positive potentialities in human beings. Karen Horney's theory and Erik Erikson's theory. जनाब मैं क्यों एरिक एरिक्सन को साइकोडायनेमिक मॉडल में ऐड कर रही हूँ? I am including Erik Erikson's theory in the psychodynamic model because he is talking about ego psychology. He is talking about the autonomous role of ego and ego having a very important role in personality development. So I am including him over psychodynamic model as well, or in the first force, and of course I am going to include him in the third force as well. Okay ji, the second force in psychology is behaviorism, and in the second force we include Dollard and Miller's stimulus response theory, Skinner's personality theory, Albert Bandura's social learning theory, Pavlov, Watson और थॉर्नडाइक का जितना काम है वो इस पर्सपेक्टिव में और इस फोर्स में इंक्लूड होगा, सेकेंड फोर्स ऑफ साइकोलॉजी में इंक्लूड होगा. एंड थर्ड फोर्स इन साइकोलॉजी इट इंक्लूड्स phenomenology or humanistic psychology, and it has a huge list of theories. इसमें आप इंक्लूड करेंगे एडलर को. You will include in this perspective Maslow, Rogers. You will include Kelly over here, Alport, Cattell, Sullivan. So there is a big list of phenomenologists who are included. Now, dear students, we are talking about 3 forces. Number 1, which includes the psychodynamic force. Number 2, behavioristic force, and number 3, humanistic force. बात कुछ यूं है कि अगर आप इन तीनों फोर्सेस को देखें, इनमें डिटेल में जाने से पहले, one very important point to be made over here is that the psychodynamic personality theorists have reduced human beings to level of animals, particularly with reference to instincts, that we are controlled by a set of instincts, life instincts, death instincts, as if we are a bunch of animals, and sex and aggression instincts controls us. The second force, the behavioristic force, has been very unkind to human beings as well, because they have reduced human beings to a level of stimulus response, a mechanical approach towards human beings. That is, we are a bunch of creatures, and it is certain forces, stimuli, which act on us, and as a result of these forces we respond to these forces, और हम as a response हमारा जो भी behavior है it develops. So unfortunately the behaviorists have reduced us to the level of animals. It is the third humanistic or phenomenological force which is very important. Now they have restored dignity and respect. They are talking about human beings with potential for rationality, human beings born with free choices, and human beings free to choose what they want to be. So it is the third force which has restored some respect and dignity to human beings. So dear students, now let us begin and talk about the first force and the theories included in the first force. Just an outline, just a bird's eye view to give you an idea which theories are included in the first force. There are three forces in psychology. Number one, the first force is psychoanalysis or psychodynamic. It includes Freud's theory, Jung's theory, Adler's theory, Karen Horney's theory, and Erik Erikson's theory. Sigmund Freud's theory includes and talks about levels of consciousness, analysis of mental structure, psychosexual stages of development, defense mechanisms, and means of tapping the unconscious. जनाब जो पहली आपके पास theory है, which is Freud's psychoanalytic theory of personality, it talks about levels of consciousness. That is, there is a conscious level, pre-conscious level, and unconscious level. The conscious level is your realm where you are aware of each and every event that is happening. Pre-conscious जो थोड़ा सा स्लिप करता है और थोड़ा सा वेग हो जाता है, और अनकॉन्शियस जिसके बारे में आपको बिल्कुल कुछ मालूम नहीं है, एंड इट इज थ्रू ड्रीम्स, इट इज थ्रू फ्री एसोसिएशन, इट इज थ्रू स्लिप ऑफ टंग, थ्रू स्लिप ऑफ पेन दैट वी गेट इंफॉर्मेशन रिलेटेड टू इट. उसके बाद देयर आर मेंटल स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एनालिसिस ऑफ मेंटल स्ट्रक्चर्स, id, ego, super ego. Now these are the three mental structures which are very important. Then Freud has talked about psychosexual stages of development: oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latency period, and genital stage. Then there's a lot of id impulses, and these id impulses want their expression. And since there's a lot of id impulses, they are desiring their expression, there's a pressure on ego. And at times ego thinks that it will not be in a position to control the pressure of the id impulses. So it takes help and it uses class of defense mechanisms. और ये सारे वो डिफेंस मैकेनिज्म्स हैं जो अनकॉन्शियस लेवल पे ऑपरेट करते हैं, रियलिटी को डिस्टॉर्ट करते हैं और आपकी ईगो को प्रोटेक्ट करते हैं. देन फ्रॉइड हैज इवन गिवन मीन्स ऑफ टैपिंग द अनकॉन्शियस, जो हिप्नोसिस है, फ्री एसोसिएशन है, ड्रीम एनालिसिस है, एनालिसिस ऑफ ह्यूमर है, एनालिसिस ऑफ ट्रांसफरेंस है, एंड देयर आर सो मेनी चैनल्स ऑफ रीचिंग द अनकॉन्शियस. फ्रॉइड इज टॉकिंग अबाउट टू टाइप्स ऑफ instincts: life instinct or eros, which are the very basis of survival of an individual, and then there are death instincts or thanatos or aggression or destructive instinct within every individual. We talked about psychosexual stages of development, जिसमें हमने कहा कि individual passes through 5 stages of development. Each stage is equally important. Any fixation or any regression at any stage leads to a pathology or disorder. और जनाब हर स्टेज इज इक्वली इम्पॉर्टेंट in the development of an individual. Freud is talking about anxiety. Anxiety is threat to the defense system. Anxiety is a threat to an individual. An individual may react to this anxiety by reality, neurotic or moral anxiety. Well, reality anxiety is related with a danger in the real external world. इम्तिहान से डर लगना is reality anxiety. Neurotic anxiety is that there is a fear that the id impulses will go out of control. And moral anxiety is that there is fear of conscience. Now, ego defends against all these three types of anxieties by using ego defense mechanisms. Then we have got Jung's theory. Now Jung is talking about personal unconscious and collective unconscious. Personal unconscious consists of repressed or forgotten images, or let's say those images or memories which are not clear, which are not vivid. And basically personal unconscious, it relates to the concept of complex, and a complex is an emotionally loaded idea which is connected together by common feeling or emotions. Collective unconscious is actually the storehouse of all your racial memories, all the memories that you inherit from your ancestors, from your forefathers, and it includes archetypes. जनाब आर्कीटाइप्स बहुत से, यूंग का फोकस जिन पे वो है persona, anima, animus, shadow and self. Then Jung is talking about two ways of relating to the world, two orientations, introverts and extroverts. That is, you relate to the world either being an introvert or being an extrovert. Then Jung is also talking about stages of development which include childhood, young adulthood, middle ages and of course life after retirement. Jung की जो theory है personality development की, as compared to Freud, is more comprehensive, is covering more extensive stages of development. Then we have got Adler's theory of personality. Now Adler's theory of personality focuses on individual psychology. For Adler, every individual is a unique person, and every individual wants to live in peace and harmony and cooperation with the other individual. So we basically see that human beings are not selfish, aggressive or motivated by self or biological motives only, but they want to live in harmony and peace with everybody. मैं क्यों एडलर को इंट्रासाइकिक मॉडल में इंक्लूड कर रही हूँ? मैं एडलर को इसलिए इंट्रासाइकिक मॉडल में इंक्लूड कर रही हूँ बिकॉज ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट फीलिंग्स ऑफ इंफीरियोरिटी एज द ड्राइविंग फोर्स इन पर्सनैलिटी. And then he is talking about birth order theory. Janab, Adler is talking to us about two things. Number one, inferiority feelings, and number two, birth order. It is because of the inferiority feelings as the driving force in personality that I've included Adler in the psychodynamic model, or in the first force of psychology. Then we have got Karen Horney. Karen Horney is talking about number one, basic anxiety, and number two, neurotic personality. In 1937, Karen Horney wrote a book called The Neurotic Personality of Our Times. In this book, Karen Horney tried to discuss the child has two basic needs which are safety and satisfaction. In 1945, Karen Horney in her book Our Inner Conflicts classified 10 neurotic needs in three categories: moving towards people, moving against people and moving away from people. जनाब बात आपसे हो रही है कैरन हॉर्नी की थ्योरी की, और हमने कहा कि कैरन हॉर्नी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट दैट अ चाइल्ड हैज गॉट टू बेसिक नीड्स, safety needs and satisfaction need. Then she is talking about 10 neurotic needs, and these 10 neurotic needs are classified in people in three categories: moving towards people, moving against people and moving away from people. उसके बाद कैरन हॉर्नी इज ऑल्सो रिफरिंग टू वन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट, इंट्रासाइकिक कॉन्सेप्ट, एंड दैट इज रियल सेल्फ एंड आइडियल सेल्फ. बात यूं है कि रियल सेल्फ इज व्हाट यू एक्चुअली आर, व्हाट आई एम, एंड आइडियल सेल्फ इज व्हाट आई एस्पायर टू बिकम. द क्लोजर दे आर टू वन अनदर, the more well-adjusted individual I am. The more my real self and ideal self are far apart, more maladjusted, more neurotic personality I possess. So that is as far as Karen Horney is concerned. Now Erik Erikson is focusing on two important things. According to Erikson, biology or genetics is one strong determinant of personality, but culture is another important determinant. Biologically determined differences between two sexes can be explained as a result of social expectations or cultural expectations. It is ego's job to organize one's life and to assure continuous harmony with one's physical and social environment. Erikson stressed the autonomy and role of ego. We call his theory as ego psychology. Janab Erikson is talking about, number one, the role of genetics and culture in personality development. Number two, the influence where we see that the two genders or the two sexes have a personality according to expectations of the culture or society. Then Erikson is talking about ego. Ego is something important. It organizes your life. It harmonizes your physical and social environment. और सबसे बड़ी बात ये, ego has an autonomous role. That is why his brand of psychology is labeled as ego psychology. Now Erikson has given us 8 stages of development. Every stage of development is important. At every stage there is a crisis, and if this crisis is resolved, the ego becomes more stronger. But if at every stage a crisis is there and it is not resolved, it leads to negative resolution, it leads to weakening of the ego. Now, Erikson is also talking about identity crisis. At the 5th stage of development, he thinks that individual gains either a positive identity or a negative identity. Positive identity तो वो है, यानी माँ बाप और टीचर्स और किताबें हमें जो अच्छी चीज़ें सिखाते हैं और जो चाहते हैं कि हम बने, if we are following that, we develop and gain a positive identity. But if we do not follow what parents are saying, what teachers are saying, what books are asking you to do, well, you develop a negative identity, and it is all those things which a child is warned not to become, not to do, or let's say stay away from those things. So he develops a negative identity. Dear students, हमने पहले भी आपसे कहा कि the first force includes psychodynamic, psychoanalytic और इंट्रासाइकिक theories of personality. और उसमें जनाब हमने आपसे बात की फ्रॉइड की थ्योरी, यूंग की थ्योरी, एडलर की थ्योरी, एरिक एरिक्सन की थ्योरी, कैरन हॉर्नी की थ्योरी. हमने पहले भी ये कहा था और फिर यही दोहरा रहे हैं बात कि this first force has reduced human beings to level of animals. It seems as if we are a bunch of animals who are being controlled by a set of instincts, sex instinct, aggression instinct, and that is the biggest criticism that is there on all the personality theorists of first force. Now, the second force in psychology is behaviorism. और हमने ये कहा कि it includes theories of Dollard and Miller. Number 2, Skinner's theory. Number 3, Albert Bandura's social learning theory. इसके अलावा पेवलोव, वॉटसन, थॉर्नडाइक का जितना काम है वो इस सेकेंड पर्सपेक्टिव में आएगा. इसके अलावा भी बेशुमार ऐसी थ्योरीज हैं जो सेकेंड फोर्स या इस बिहेवियरिज्म में आती हैं, बट that does not concern us because these are the personality theories that we have covered in your course. Now the first, Dollard and Miller's stimulus response theory. Now according to this theory, the key concept is habit, and habit is actually an association or link between stimulus and response. तो जनाब बात कुछ यूं है कि if any behavior has to be learned, it got to have 4 things. अगर हम कोई भी चीज़ सीखना चाहते हैं तो लर्निंग के लिए there are 4 essential things. For learning desired behavior to take place within the subject, number 1, one must want something, that is a drive. Number 2, notice something, that is cue or stimulus. Number 3, do something, that is respond or show reaction. And number 4, get something, reward or reinforcement. तो जनाब बात यूं है कि स्टिमुलस रिस्पॉन्स में फोकस है हैबिट पे, और हैबिट असल में कनेक्शन है स्टिमुलस और रिस्पॉन्स का. हमने कहा कि कोई भी बिहेवियर जो है उसको इन ऑर्डर फॉर एनी टाइप ऑफ लर्निंग और डिजायर्ड बिहेवियर टू टेक प्लेस, वी मस्ट वांट समथिंग, we must notice something, we must do something, and we must get something. So there should be a drive, there should be a stimulus, there should be a response, and there should be a reward or reinforcement. Skinner's radical behaviorism, he rejected the use of inner states such as anxiety as explanation of our overt observable behavior. Skinner's use of the term operant. Operant is a response that operates on the environment and changes it. The change in the environment affects the occurrence of the response. When an operant response is conditioned, it is essential that reinforcement be presented after the occurrence of the response. Only in this way does the frequency of the response occur. So rewards and punishment molds the behavior of animals as well as humans. Teachers, judges, employers rely on connection between actions and consequences to shape behavior. Now, Skinner's radical behaviorism focuses, number 1, on overt behavior. Number 2, the term operant means operating on the environment, and as a result of this operating on the environment, there is a change in the environment. So, if we want a behavior to occur, we got to reward it. And if we reward and reinforce a behavior, the frequency of that behavior will increase. और अगर हम reinforcement या reward नहीं देते तो the frequency of that behavior is going to come down. Now basically Skinner is talking about 2 types of methods which are used as reinforcement techniques for increasing the frequency of a response. Positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement. Now positive and negative reinforcement increases the frequency of a response, and it is punishment and extinction that decreases the frequency of a response. Social learning theory. Bandura suggests most human behavior is learned by observation. In modeling, we observe the behavior of others and use this information as a guide for our own behavior. Number 2, Bandura and his colleagues have demonstrated that subjects allowed to observe a set of responses performed by another individual, that is a model, tend to exhibit these same responses of the observed model when placed in similar settings. Example, all films, television dramas and cartoons where models behave aggressively, they are teaching observers to be aggressive and violent. जनाब एल्बर्ट बंड्यूरा की सोशल लर्निंग थ्योरी इज बेस्ड ऑन 2 पैराडाइम्स. नंबर 1, learning takes place by observing. So it's basically observation and observation leading to a type of learning. What we observe, we learn. So the models that are available in front of us, we imitate them, we copy them when we are placed in similar situations. तो अगर मैं टेलीविजन के ऊपर या फिल्म में या किताब में ये पढ़ूंगी कि वन शुड बी एग्रेसिव, सो by simply reading about it, observing it, I am going to learn to be aggressive to be successful. So we learn a number of behaviors by observation and observation of models. So Albert Bandura's focus is on learning by observation and learning by modeling, and he thinks imitating or copying the behaviors of the models we observe, we are learning. उसके बाद जनाब हमारे पास एक बड़ी अहम थ्योरी और वो है एल्बर्ट एलिस की ABC theory. Albert Ellis is of the view that irrational beliefs are the basis of all our maladjustment. These irrational beliefs are learned through socialization from parents, teachers, peers, friends, religious, political leaders, books, films, media. The rational emotive behavior therapy has ABC therapy of personality, where A refers to an activating event, B to the belief system of the individual, C to the consequence. Now in this ABC model of personality, quite later Alice added the D and the E component as well. So it is A, B, C, D, E, where D refers to disputing or debating or challenging the irrational beliefs, and E refers to effect or impact of debate on minimizing irrationality in one's life. Dear students, we are talking to you about Albert Ellis' ABC theory of personality. Now, according to Albert Ellis, all our irrational beliefs are the very basis of our maladjustments. और ये आपकी जितनी irrational beliefs हैं, you learn them. You learn them through a process of socialization. You learn them through your parents, through your teachers, through your friends, through religious political leaders, through books, through films. So according to this ABC model of personality, A refers to any activating event, any stimulus which has an impact and which has an impact on the belief system. So B is the belief system of the individual, and it leads to C, a consequence. Now it was quite later that Alice also added the D and the E component. So one should dispute, debate, argue about one's irrationality, or let's say collect new information, and as a result of this dispute, as a result of this debate, as a result of this challenging your irrationality, it leads to E, a new philosophy, a change, a new effect in your behavior, that is where you are in a position to replace irrationality with rationality, your superstitious behavior with scientific, rational, wise, wisdomful behavior. So for Alice, irrationality is learned. और ये आप कहाँ से सीख रहे हैं? ये आप socialization process में. So second force, mind you, is reducing us to a level of stimulus and response. So again it has a mechanical approach, और ये reduce कर रहे हैं हम सबको मशीनों की तरह कि एक बटन दबाया और एक response मिल गया. So again this is something which is lowering the stature or status of human beings. The third force is phenomenology और ह्यूमनिस्टिक साइकोलॉजी, और जनाब इसमें एक बड़ी तवील फेरिस्त है. एडलर की थ्योरी है, कैली की थ्योरी है, मरे की थ्योरी है, मैस्लो, रॉजर, ऑलपॉट, कैटल, you name it. So all important theories are added over here. Maslow's theory. Abraham Maslow postulated a hierarchy of needs beginning with physiological needs at the bottom and self-actualization at the top. An individual must meet the basic needs before trying to meet the higher needs. The triangle or a pyramid has a broad base and a narrow top. Dear students, we are talking to you about Abraham Maslow's need, who has given a hierarchy of needs. And if you look at the triangle of his needs, the base is broader and the top is narrow. First are the physiological needs. पहले लेवल पे physiological needs है, फिर safety needs है, फिर लव एंड बिलोंगिंगनेस नीड्स है, फिर सेल्फ एस्टीम है और फिर सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन है. इट इज वेरी फ्यू कायदे आजम, इमरान खान, अब्दुल सत्तार ईदी, who make it to the top of this triangle, who are able to self-actualize, use all their potentials to the highest maximum level. और मैस्लो का ये ख्याल है कि सबसे पहले फिजियोलॉजिकल नीड्स पूरी होनी चाहिए. जब ये नीड्स पूरी होंगी तो हायर ऑर्डर नीड्स विल इमर्ज लेटर. Then we have got Rogers. Phenomenological theory of personality of Rogers is that a person's behavior is obtained through observation of his internal frame of reference. Why an individual thinks, feels, behaves in a given way, it is necessary to know how that person perceives and interprets the world. He puts the emphasis on positive aspects of life, free choices, personal growth experiences, actualizing tendency, and innate need to survive, grow, and enhance. And fully functioning person is a term used by Rogers to designate individuals who are using their capacities, potentials, talents, realizing them to the highest level. जनाब दूसरा important personality theorist who's talking about a humanistic or phenomenological theory of personality is Rogers. Rogers के लिए बहुत importance है जी positive regard की, actualizing tendency की, fully functioning individual की, that is using your potentials, your capabilities, your talents to the highest maximum level. जनाब ये whether it's Maslow or whether it's Rogers, the focus is on positive potentials that are there within you and focusing on those potentials, polishing on those potentials, which leads to self growth and self enhancement. उसके बाद हमारे पास एक और important personality theory given to us by Kelly. Kelly argued that personality is by its very nature embedded in a person's interpersonal relationships. For Kelly, an individual's personality is nothing more or less than his or her construct system. So, Kelly's cognitive theory focuses on the paradigm that each one of us has got his or her own personal construct system और हम इस पर्सनल कंस्ट्रक्ट सिस्टम को इस्तेमाल करते हैं इन व्यूइंग अदर्स, ourselves, and making sense out of reality. So for Kelly, personality is embedded in one's construct system और ये construct system जो है it's responsible for your personality development. Sullivan. For Sullivan, personality is embedded in person's interpersonal relationships. The personality develops as a result of interpersonal situations and events. जनाब Sullivan के लिए personality is the result of or it develops because of interpersonal relationships. That is how one individual interacts with the other individual, and as a result of these interpersonal relations or events that are taking place between people, that leads to personality development. Cattell's theory. For Cattell, factor analysis is a method used to discover traits which he considers the building blocks of personality. An ability discovered in such a cluster is called a factor, and in Cattell's theory, the term factor is equated with the term trait. So for Cattell, through factor analysis, a statistical procedure, we gather a number of factors and these factors are equated with traits. और Cattell के लिए cardinal traits, central traits are very important. They are the constructs which are used in studying personality. उसके बाद we have got Murray's theory. Murray's theory reflects novel, unique, recurrent, enduring patterns of behavior. Personality functions are to reduce conflicts, satisfy individual needs, and to make plans for attainment of future goals. So, in Murray's, personality consists of needs, how needs are to be attained, and what future plans one designs to attain all the needs that are very important for the person. Now, we have talked with you about three forces in psychology. The first force is psychoanalysis. It reduces humans to level of animals related to concept of instinct. The second force is behaviorism. It reduces humans to stimulus response level. And the third force is phenomenology or humanistic psychology, and it reduces humans to their actual or restores human beings to their actual level. Dear students, we are talking to you about three forces in psychology. हमने आपसे ये कहा कि साइकोलॉजी में तीन फोर्सेस हैं. द फर्स्ट इज साइकोएनालिसिस और साइकोडायनेमिक और इंट्रासाइकिक. द सेकंड फोर्स इज बिहेवियरिज्म and the third force is phenomenology or humanistic psychology, and there are a number of theories which come under each banner. Now, under the psychoanalytic or the psychodynamic force comes Freud's theory, Jung's theory, Adler's theory, Karen Horney's theory and Erik Erikson's personality theory. उसके बाद हमारे पास है जी behaviorism or the second force in psychology, and it includes Dollard and Miller's stimulus response theory, जिसमें हमने देखा the focus is on habit and the focus is on association or link between stimulus and response. Then we have got Skinner's theory, and in Skinner's theory the focus is that if we want the frequency of a desired behavior to increase, we should reinforce it, we should reward it, and if we want that the frequency of an undesired behavior should decrease, we should punish it or we should not provide any reinforcement. उसके बाद हमने ये देखा कि एल्बर्ट बंड्यूरा is talking about the importance of observation and models, that is what I observe, and what I observe people doing, I simply learn through it. तो जनाब, अगर मैं ये देख रही हूँ फिल्मों में और टीवी ड्रामों में और किताबों में ये पढ़ रही हूँ कि an aggressive hero is very successful, so I'm learning to be aggressive, I'm learning to be violent. So it is the second force or behaviorism which is focusing on learning by observation or learning by seeing models perform certain behavior. So in this particular force are included Dollard and Miller's theory of personality, Skinner's theory of personality, Bandura's theory of personality और Pavlov का, Watson का, Thorndike का जितना काम है वो सारा है. The third force in psychology refers to phenomenology or humanistic psychology, और जनाब इसमें हमने शामिल किया एडलर की थ्योरी को, कैली की थ्योरी को, मरे की थ्योरी को, मैस्लो की थ्योरी को, रॉजर्स की थ्योरी को, ऑलपॉट, कैटल्स एंड सलिवन्स थ्योरी. Dear student, the first force includes the psychodynamic and a list of personality theories. The second force includes behaviorism and a huge list of personality theories which you have covered. The third force includes phenomenology or humanistic psychology and a huge list of personality theories जो आपने अपने personality psychology के कोर्स में की. इनको evaluate हम end पे ऐसे करें कि the first force is reducing us to the level of animal, the second force is reducing us to the level of stimulus and response, it is the third force which restores dignity and respect to all of us as human beings, and it tries to see that human beings have potentials, positive tendencies, and personality study is actually focusing on study of these potentialities. Dear students, I hope you have enjoyed listening to this lecture as much as I have enjoyed talking to all of you. Please take very good care of yourself and do go through the Word document and the PowerPoint slides that are available on the web page of Personality Psychology. Do take very good care of yourself. Up till our next lecture, it is Khuda Hafiz from Virtual University Studio.